The 2023, I don't even know why I said it that way. The 2023 Clemson spring football game is upon us. Yes, a glorified practice, but it's in Death Valley, and it's a good reason to get out and watch football in April, hopefully to extend us to September. Anyway, I'm going to get off of that and I'll get back to it in a second. I'm Brian. I'm not Bobby Durkins. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button and follow, like, pass along to all your Clemson loving, your Clemson hating friends. And I'm sure that they'll love me and hate me as much as others do. So let's dive into this. So Clemson football, we know what happened last year. Yeah, they won the ACC championship. Yes, they won 10 games, but it was in very lackluster, very questionable uh, ways, and it ended with a butt whipping by Tennessee. Tennessee murdered us, missing half their stars. Then a week later or so, Clemson fires their OC. They fire the OC and hire Garrett Riley out of TCU, one of the most sought after offensive coordinators in the country, if not coordinators, period. DJ Uiagalelei, I'm still messing that up, and he was around for a while, transferred to Oregon State. By the way, Tiger Nation's in here. George is in here. Thanks so much for joining me, Tiger Nation. I will be seeing you Saturday at the game. Yes, I will be at the Clemson spring game. So let's dive right in. Okay, so Cade Klubnik in this new offense with Garrett Riley. Garrett Riley, we know that he's talked about being more explosive and more powerful. Now, normally people divorce those two. The Big 12 is really bad about divorcing those two because you'll be explosive, which means if you're playing against a subpar, maybe even average defense with a subpar average defensive coordinator, you can average 500 yards per game and put up 40 to 50 points. But then they end up having to play Alabama, Georgia, maybe a Clemson of old defense. The verdict's still out on Wes Goodwin. We'll get there in a second. And then they get dominated because they're not powerful. They're explosive, but they're not powerful. Then you have other teams that they're powerful, but they're not explosive. So if let's just say a couple of bad things happen, maybe someone turns over the ball, maybe there's a pick six by the defense, whatever it may be, maybe their own defense is having maybe a lackluster day. Well, because they're all power and no explosiveness, they can't come from behind. So to hear that explosive and powerful at the same time, that's a big deal for me as a Clemson fan, especially after this anemic offense over the past 2 years, and quite honestly, the last 2 years of Trevor and ETN and T. Higgins being there. Yeah, they put up a lot of stats, but when they play really good defensive coordinators with really good teams, they got manhandled. So hopefully we're going to see a turn in the tide there. We have Cade Klubnik. This is going to be his show. We know exactly who's going to be running things. And it's exciting to know that we have a quarterback who can move. We have a quarterback who can throw. Now, he definitely is not where he needs to be overall. He needs to develop. He has to develop. He has to continue to grow. But what a player to have if you're an offensive coordinator who likes to play an extremely explosive style of ball. Then you have Will Shipley. Now, in some of the articles I've read, they're looking for more players than Will Shipley. Well, we'll talk about Will Shipley here for a second. This guy was just amazing coming out of high school. He hasn't disappointed us whatsoever. I will say, I really don't think they need to look too much farther for playmakers, especially in the running game, other than Phil Maffa. He's a powerful back who can hit the fifth gear and take off, but if he has to run over you, he'll run over you. And so I really don't think, even though I read that article, and probably a lot of you have read that too, I can't remember who it's by, it doesn't matter. I can say that that they're overlooking Phil Maffa, and they shouldn't. At least Clemson still has it. The offensive line is going to be massive. Tristan Lee is hopefully finding a place on the offensive line. Linthicum, I think it's Ryan Linthicum. Is it something? Not Ryan Linthicum. It's his last name is Linthicum. He was a big recruit coming out of high school. I did not see him on the starting list, but we'll see. We'll see where he ends up. But just to see Tristan Lee finally, hopefully, getting to the place to where he's flourishing as the top back or the top offensive lineman that we thought that he would be. Hopefully, he's going to grow there. Hopefully, we're going to see some continuity out of the offensive line. They have to protect Cade Klubnik. They have to give him time. Fortunately, Klubnik can run. He can extend the plays. But you and I both know when you get into the bigger games, you're playing against a defensive coordinator who knows how to first of all, plan a fantastic game plan and then make the proper adjustments when he needs to make it. And he has the athletes. They're going to figure out a way to make even a mobile quarterback one-dimensional in some form or fashion. So we've got to get the offensive line. That's a point of emphasis for, I think, every Clemson fan who is actually a serious Clemson fan realizes this is a big deal. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to go on with the offensive line. I will tell you this, if the offensive line will just improve and just become average to possibly teetering towards above average, we have the athletes to do a lot of really good things and produce a lot of great results. We've just got to get that O-line there. I mean, it's just fell off so bad. It's terrible. You've heard me rant and rave about that one. Of course, Bo Collins will be playing. Jake Brenningstoe, I'm really looking forward to seeing Jake Brenningstoe play. Massive tight end coming over the middle. I mean, he's just like, you see the 6'6" ball possessing. I mean, when the ball goes up, he goes up and takes it away. This type of tight end, it's easy to take him for granted, especially with everything that's went on. But Jake Brenningstoe is a big deal. Bo Collins, with all the questions that we've had with the wide receivers, with all the wide receivers who either transferred or the one that declared for the NFL, which I think that was premature, Bo Collins has not stopped. He has not quit. The interesting thing about him, there's been so many questions about the development of our wide receivers and if we're recruiting good players, and I've talked about that ad nauseum. But the truth is, Bo Collins has self-developed. I'm not saying that he's where he should be. I'm saying he's continued to fight and he's continued to put in the effort. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play. Adam Randall, of course, everyone's talking about Adam Randall, and Adam Randall's, he's playing good in practice. And folks, I just want to say this to everybody. I've said this 100 times. That is fantastic. Practice makes perfect. That's good. But you can be a Superman in practice, but if it does not translate to the field of play in regular games, it's just practice, folks. So I'm hoping to see a lot out of Adam Randall and seeing a 5-star actually be a 5-star at the wide receiver position for Clemson. Swinging over to the defensive side of the ball, a lot of questions for Wes Goodwin. A lot of people, including myself, has said this over and over. The verdict is out on Wes Goodwin. Last year, he had world-class athletes playing for him. Now, let's stop and give him some grace here. He did have world-class athletes, but he also had an offense that was putting them in a bad place a lot of times. Unless Clemson was playing just a bad football team, Clemson's offense was subpar at best. And so you're shuttling the defense back out there. So they're going to get more tired. You're going to be more prone to injuries. You're going to start playing very unenthusiastic football because you know that your defense is going to go your offense is going to go mess it up. You might get a really, really good stop, get a really good punt return somewhere, but your offense is going to mess it up. Unless, let's just say, Shipley breaks a big, massive run and he takes it to the house. So we do have to consider that. At the same time, you do have to consider, and I know there was a lot of injuries in the secondary last year. We have to understand that he had Brian Brisset, Miles Murphy, KJ Henry on that line. And don't forget about Trenton Simpson. How can anybody forget about Trenton Simpson? I believe one of the best linebackers to ever play for Clemson. Overall total package. One of the best. So they're gone. Now, the player I'm looking forward to seeing, of course, I'm very happy that Tyler Davis came back for his 5th year. We have XT coming back. I'm hoping good things for him, but after this year, he's done. He's done. There's no more coming back for XT. The player that I'm really looking forward to see, and I had this question up here a little earlier from Kenneth Burleson. Do you think the media is placing unrealistic expectations on Peter Woods? Peter Woods is one of them, and Parker is one of them that I'm looking forward to watching him play as well. I would not be shocked if they're putting unrealistic expectations on Peter Woods, and I'll tell you why. They're wanting someone to come in and be the Isaiah Simmons of the group. They're wanting some superstar to come in and change everything. They're wanting some Jadeveon Clowney in his first years of Clemson. For Clemson, my God, I was looking down at something. I was reading that he's not at Clemson. He's playing for South Carolina. It is going to be, anytime you get a player like Peter Woods in, guess what? There's going to be a lot of expectations for them. Now, if he's doing great in practice, once again, I'm waiting for that to translate onto the field. But at the same time, this guy is something special. I mean, he's really, really something special. And with the questions in our secondary and with losing Trenton Simpson, you're hoping that you're going to have someone who is extremely disruptive along the line or within the box. You need someone to come out there and be a problem. You need someone that when an offensive line coach sees them, they go, oh, crap. We're going to have to dedicate more men to blocking this player. And that's going to open up lanes for linebackers and other defensive linemen. Maybe bring somebody off the corner, bring a blitz from the corner. So right now, I think the media, especially Clemson leaning media, or just pure out, hey, we're the flagship station of Clemson. Of course, they're going to talk about Peter Woods. Of course, they're going to hope that he is what he is. Just like Florida State fans right now is hoping that all this recruiting and transfer portal, that they're hoping that their team is going to be the Florida State of old, or at least look like it. And that's a subject for another video. And I want to talk about Florida State because this is very interesting to me. I will say that, and spoiler alert, if Norvell cannot get it going with this group, don't be surprised when Florida State fans are calling for his head. Yes, that's sparkling water in a massive jug. John Smith said, when are you going to realize this offense is going to be a whole lot better than it was and then it's been in the past few years? I hope so. But I'll tell you, John, I try not to get my hopes up. I'm trying not to get my hopes up. To me, this is where I have Garrett Riley. I have Garrett Riley in the same category as Chad Morris. Until, and of course, anybody can come along and everybody has to prove themselves. Let's put it that way. Everybody has to prove themselves. So the big thing for me is obviously fixing the things that we have noticed right off the bat. No creativity, no not really a scheme that makes sense for the players that you have. Seeing that fixed immediately will be a big deal. Getting the wide receivers more aggressive, hungry for the football, and calling plays that makes the team excited to run them. That's a big deal. A lot of people forgets that. You're still dealing with human beings, and no matter if they are 4 and 5 star athletes, you want them to be excited about the plays they're running. John's throwing this out there as well. Riley didn't have the same level of talent at TCU as he does here. I do agree with you. I'm not taking away from that. I'm saying we need to be the day that I will look at Garrett Riley and say, "Oh man, he is the second coming of Todd Monken at Georgia. He's now with the Ravens." Which, by the way, I've said this to Georgia fans over and over again, and they, not all of them, but most of them still run their mouth at me about this. What an amazing type of coaching that we've saw over the style of coaching, the strategy, the brilliant play calling, the adjustments that Todd Monken did at Georgia over the past 2 years. I mean, I'm far from a Georgia fan, but to sit there and watch that man call those types of plays, make those types of adjustments was just pure football art. It was beautiful. But he did it because the reason he gets the respect from me that he does, and you say, well, it's because he won 2 national championships. No, his performance got them 2 national championships. See, there's the process. Excuse me. There's the process, and there's the end result. The end result was supposed to be championship football, but you only get championship football by coaching like a championship coach. Todd Monken did that for 2 seasons, just world-class, unbelievable coaching. Garrett Sanders is in here. Garrett hadn't seen or talked to you in quite a while. It's good to talk to you. George is in here. Tiger Nation's in here. I see a bunch of other people in here. Hit the thumbs up. Feel free to comment. It's a long time, Garrett. It's good to see you. But Garrett Riley is going, when he goes up against an elite defense with an elite defensive coordinator, and he uses the talent that he has, and he wins and he makes those adjustments, I will guarantee you every dollar I've ever made times 10. He will not be he will not be an OC at Clemson for long. He'll be a head coach somewhere like his brother, and they'll pay him ungodly amounts of money. That's it. And so he's already a hot commodity, but he's going to be an even more hot commodity because when a coach can prove that they can outcoach the elite, whether it's an elite defensive coordinator who can dominate elite offenses with elite coaching, you can take it to the bank. They can name their price, whether it's going to another school or maybe the NFL and being an OC or a DC, whatever it may be, or being a head coach, period. Because they've proved that they're elite. That's the thing with Chad Morris. Chad Morris was fantastic for Clemson when they were growing, but I've said this over and over and over. When he played teams who had elite defenses with an elite DC, those DCs took him for a ride. They took him for a ride. Well, what about 4th and 16 with LSU? That LSU team was underwhelming. They had amazing talent. They had Landry. They had Odell Beckham Jr. They had great players everywhere. Remember, that was getting closer and closer to the time of them firing Les Miles. So you can have fantastic world-class players, but if you don't know how to use them and you don't know how to, if you're just depending completely and totally upon your talent and you're not going to scheme, folks, I'm telling you, when you get into elite ball games, into elite matches, you don't know until that moment happens. You don't know how good someone is. So in this way, I'm starting to itch because I'm talking about this so much. We're definitely going to be better offensively. We're definitely going to be better offensively. I haven't seen the first play from practice, and I can promise you, you're right. Between the talent that we have and his explosiveness, yes, and that he's talking about power. We do have to be powerful. Swinging back over to the defensive side, Wes Goodwin Wes Goodwin, especially if Clemson's offense is putting up points. Alakazam's in here. I think I said that right. Yo, what's up? But folks, if Clemson's offense is putting up points and suddenly the defense is not doing well and there's no health issue, we might have some issues. Then again, he just lost Brissett, Murphy, KJ Henry, Trenton Simpson. But with that said, I'm looking forward to going to the Valley this coming Saturday. It's going to be 1 o'clock kickoff. You can watch on, it's one of those ACC networks on ESPN. It's going to be a lot of fun. Jeremiah Allen said FSU is going to be the first real test for our offense. Probably so. I hope it's not Duke in week 1 on a Monday night. I totally hope not. That would be terrible, wouldn't it, if our offense went and floundered against Duke? Man, you can go ahead and fold up shop. By the way, if you get on that, if you get online and look for the tickets against Florida State, which that's our 4th game. So first game, Duke on a Monday night. 5 days later, it's Charleston Southern, I believe. Then the next week, it's Florida Atlantic. And then the week after that, you have Florida State. The tickets for that game are already outrageous, folks. Already outrageous. It's April. I mean, the tickets are so flipping expensive. What would be interesting, though, is to what would be interesting would be if in the first week Florida State lost to LSU. Let's just say LSU drugged them. I don't think that's going to happen. Just to see if those tickets dropped. I know Florida State fans are already ticked that I would even say that. It's basic. I would say it's basically a home game. I know it's in the state of Florida, but the game's going to be in Orlando. But I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. Orlando to Tallahassee, that's still a drive. Obviously, it's Florida. It's much closer than Baton Rouge, but it's not like it's in Tallahassee. Garrett Sanders is asking, are we talking upper seats? Yeah. Upper deck Clemson tickets are expensive for the Florida State game right now. In fact, for those of you who are hanging with me, I'm going to look them up on my phone right now. If you want to, let me see, Clemson, FSU tickets. This is great. Chase Henderson is here. May there from Chase Henderson, the wonderful Chase Henderson, one of two Henderson sisters. Of course, I call Parker his brother, his sister. These are two very manly men that I call sisters. They have not punched me yet. Yes, yes, John. FSU has to come to the Valley this year. So if it's according to what sites that you look at, because some will seem like they're cheaper, more affordable, but they do not. But they are not showing the fees that you're going to have to pay later. So a lot of people like to use SI tickets. I've used Sports Illustrated tickets to buy cheaper, but cheaper tickets. But Chase Henderson asked, "Is my camera still working?" Yes, it's still working. Can you not see me? You said I may have some upper deck tickets. Chase Henderson, ladies and gentlemen, Chase Henderson, his tickets are so good, so flipping good that he could sell it for gold. Just letting you know, he could sell them for gold. So if you go on like SeatGeek, which is the first thing that pulled up, it's saying Clemson, Florida State tickets are $116 a piece. I'll guarantee you by the time they add fees, it's going to be much more than that. But and those tickets are probably sitting on top of the concrete barrier at the very back, or very top of the upper bowl. So who knows? Chase Henderson. I may have some upper deck seats. Don't you tempt me like that, my friend. Don't you tempt me like that. You and I will go. We could go. That would be a lot of fun. All right, listen. I am going to be at the spring game. If you see me out and about, well, stop by. Hopefully, you won't be like some of these crazies who pours hot coffee on people that they don't like. If anything, come up and say "May there" to me. That's just the whole Bobby Durkins thing there, the May there thing. But yeah, it wouldn't be. Anyway, if you're there and we pass, I'd love to speak to you. Love to see you. I'm going to try to catch up with Pigskin Pete. I would love to. I'll probably be touching base with Tiger. Well, Tiger Nation's going to be there with Pigskin Pete, and I think Prince 6'1" is going to be there. And so we'll definitely, hopefully, touch base with each other and get to. I hadn't seen them in a while. Me and Tiger Nation text. I haven't talked to Pigskin Pete in a while. There's nothing wrong. I mean, it's just life takes you different ways. But he's good people. He is 100% good people. And Prince 6'1". John Smith says, I'll have the best seat of all for the games right in front of my big screen TV. I will tell you this, John. I love going to games in person, but there's sometimes, according to what's been going on, like in my life, if I've had a lot of crap going on, there's something about watching a game by myself. Or like with my sons, they, even with the 7-year-old, he sits down and watches the game. He might talk a little bit, but I actually am genuinely interested in watching the game. I went to a game with someone a while back, and they sit there and talk to me 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 and talk to me. I mean, this is pre-COVID. Talk to me and talk to me and talk to me and talk to me. And I was just sitting there going, man. And it wasn't even really about the game that much. It was just like talking. And I'm like, man, I came to Death Valley to watch a football game. I didn't come here to just, chat the entire time. And that's what's so funny. I've went with Chase to games. I've been with Tiger Nation. Chase Henderson. That's why you don't take your wife. My wife does not like football. She does not like football, but she's like, you and the boys go do your thing. Of course, her dad and my brother-in-law, big football fans. But that is hilarious. That's why you don't take your wife. That is hilarious. But I get what you're saying there. But yeah, I mean, Chase, you're former football player and former football coach. Chase is a lot of fun to go to a game with because he talks pure football, but he's watching the game. Same thing with Parker. Went to a game with Parker out in Atlanta. Fun. Same thing. We were there to watch the game. Tiger Nation, same thing. Never forget the first time me and Pigskin Pete went to a game together. He and I sat side by side, and I realized that we had the same approach to the game. We said nothing forever. We were sitting there watching the game. And then we would turn and look at each other and make a comment, and then we'd go back to watching the game. That's all we wanted to do was watch the flipping game. And I'm so surprised that when you go to a ball game and some people are sitting there, I'm not saying you don't talk here and there. I am saying literally they're just like, I'm talking about men. These are men that's doing that. It's like, I go to the game to watch the game, dude. And if you want to have a therapy session later, yeah, okay, maybe. But right now is not the time to bare your heart and soul or talk about work. God forbid we talk about work. I actually like the company I work for. But I don't want to talk about work. I don't talk about work after hours. I work from home, and I rarely say anything to my wife about my job. It's just nuts. Truth is in here. That's how most men act in 2023. Yeah, they just want to talk. Hey, they just want to talk. I like to talk, but there's times to shut up. Yeah, but here's the thing, Chase. He's sitting in the Masters. And notice he put that. The people sitting around me in the Masters Club. Chase, we know that you're sitting in the Masters Club. You sorry son of a gun. And listen to this, folks. He has the tickets in the upper deck, which, by the way, are world-class tickets. You're like, upper deck? No, upper deck, like 50-yard line-ish. I went to the South Carolina Clemson game with my son and saw us blow the game up just totally out of the water. Chase was like, hey, man, you can have my tickets. I'm sitting down here in the Masters section. He gives up great tickets for world-class tickets. Folks, this man has won either way. Yes, Chase, I hope you're laughing as you nod your head saying, yes, I've won either way. Killer. Even his wife talks football. Yeah, they are your wife's tickets. That's the best part, folks. His wife, by the way, knows football. And yeah, I think she has a mean right hook too. I can tell. I wouldn't tick her off. I'll leave it that way. Let me see. We can talk at the tailgate or SO Club, but I'm in the game. I'm focused on watching the game. I love being a capitalist. That's a comment. Yeah, we can talk at tailgate. We can talk at the SO Club. But when we get in, I'm watching the football game. I did not pay money, or if someone's kind enough to offer me tickets, I did not. What's so funny is the people who has offered me tickets that I've went with, the people who has offered me tickets that I have went with, they are as serious as I am about wanting to watch the game. Isn't that interesting? It's almost like they know that I actually love watching football, especially Clemson football. Even when I'm pissed and I'm like, my God, why did we hire this guy? The offense looks like trash. You know, I think the legs off of one of our cornerbacks just absolutely fell off. He's detached from the hip down. I'm still loving Clemson football. I still want to watch the game. I don't want to sit there and just talk about random stupidity. You know, hey, man, did you see what was on ESPN this morning? No, I very well doubt that I care. What was on ESPN this morning? I mean, they have good moments here and there, but my Lord, if they would just cut out the depressing stories and just stick with football, and that would be great. Tom Rinaldi, God help me. Tom Rinaldi seemed like a wonderful guy. So, you know, if they told Tom Rinaldi to go out and do these pieces on, you know, some player who, you know, he was born, I don't know, he was born with a tree trunk for a brain, and all he ever wanted to do was play college football. And today he's playing college football because his mom, you know, his mom worked. I'm sorry, somebody made a comment and I had to read it. His mom worked 17 jobs to put him through school because, you know, he needed therapy because he's born with a tree trunk for a brain. I don't care about that. I'm sorry. That does not make me a bad person. I've been through a bunch of crap probably during the week. I'm watching football to relax, clear my mind, try to reset, try to rejuvenate the soul. And you're telling me about Jim Brooks from Butthole, Indiana, who was born with some rare brain disease, a tree trunk for a brain, and now he's playing fullback for some D3 school. I don't care. And y'all know this is true. John Smith says, I'm not going to a game to talk about life decisions. I'm there to watch my Tigers play and to criticize the bad play calling. That's me too. Oh my God, that's me too. Truth asks, remember when ESPN was about sports? Yeah, I do. I remember when ESPN was about sports. It's been a long time ago. This will be my last comment, probably, of the day. Truth said, right. Tons of no-name people suffering all over the world, but we're supposed to care about the ones ESPN throw in front of our face and wear a ribbon and give to their charity. Hey, listen, I have a niece right now who was born with hip dysplasia. She's already been through 5 surgeries, and she's 8. Okay, nobody is trotting her up on ESPN to talk about her. Um, but you can tell that they're trying to find something to talk about. A touching story here and there is, that's one thing, but you can hear the piano in the background hit a nice minor chord, and it's like, raised in the weird fields of Indiana, he was born with a monkey on his back. I mean, it's like, what just happened there? You're talking about he was born a drug addict? Oh my God. What just happened? Did he just say that? I thought I was watching College Game Day. That just kicked off with Big and Rich, which I'm still surprised John Rich is on there, because John Rich is, let's just say he doesn't fit the profile that or the belief system of ESPN, but I think most of us would stop watching Game Day if they didn't have that ridiculous song at the beginning. Yeah. All right, folks. Listen, I'm gonna let y'all go. It's so good to get on here and talk college football. Let me know, and I'm serious. Let me know in the comments section. And if you know me personally, you have my phone number. Text me what Chase Henderson said. And I'll read this. So Truth said, makes no sense because their ratings would be better if they focused on sport instead of politics and special interest. Everything is an agenda now. And Chase hit the button there, and George is saying, yep, Tiger Nation, I will see you Saturday. If you know me and you have my phone number, I want you to legitimately text me about stuff that you would actually like for me to talk about on here dealing with sports. I'm not going to talk politics. I try not to talk politics. But dealing with sports, I've had some ideas. It takes a lot to put a video together, even if it's a live stream. Right down at the thumbnail, you see there's a lot that goes into it, and I'm not very good at it, at the thumbnail crap. But let me know what you would like for me to talk about. Leave it in the comments. I do see comments, because I would like to dive into more stuff that you would like to see dealing with sports content, considering what you just said. The ESPN has done a lot of good things for sports, but they've truly lost their ways over the past 15 years. And so I don't have the budget to go out there and film games like them. And I mean, they're a total world class, or they're a total multi-billion-dollar deal. I can't do that. But to talk about things that you would like to hear about dealing with, especially college football, please let me know. That would be awesome. But I'm really looking forward to this spring game, 1:00 on Saturday. I'm going to be there. Going to be meeting it with my buddies. And look, I appreciate you joining me here. Leave your comments. What do you think? What's the player or players that you're wanting to see? What's your concerns about the season? Who are you unimpressed with? Who do you think is probably going to be the next coach that's going to be fired at Clemson? That 1 year from now, we're going to be talking about, less than 1 year from now, we're going to be talking about they had to let them go because. Who do you think that will be? And let's dive into that. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit the thumbs up if you haven't. There's 17 people in here, only 10 thumbs up. Hey, if you even hate me, hit the thumbs up. That just lets me know that you hate me even more. Kind of sadistic, but I respect it. And pass this along to your buddies and your neighbors. Look, I'm Brian Knight. I am not Bobby Durkins, at least not right here. Catch you later. Hopefully, catch you in the valley. See you next time.